2017, something truly terrifying happened at a well-known hospital in South Africa. At first, people couldn't comprehend what had occurred, how it happened, or why. But as days passed, people forgot about the incident and dismissed it as a rare event that would never happen again. However, 2 years later, the same horrifying event was repeated in exactly the same way at another hospital in South Africa. Both incidents took place in areas that are extremely difficult for any human to access. What happened was beyond belief, beyond reason. But what I am about to tell you is not fiction, it's a horrifying truth. So let's begin our story. On October 4th, 2017, a 61-year-old man named Tiki Kantsai, father of 6 children, arrived at Stellenbosch Hospital, located in one of South Africa's wealthiest cities. For several months prior, he had been suffering from serious stomach issues. He frequently visited this hospital for scans, tests, and medical follow-ups until doctors finally told him he needed to undergo surgery. So on that day, he came to the hospital for an abdominal surgery. Upon arrival, he completed the official check-in process, submitting his personal information and ID. Shortly after, he was prepped for surgery. The operation was a complete success, and he was moved from the operating room to a recovery room where he would stay under observation for 2 days before being discharged. During those 2 days, doctors and nurses carefully monitored his condition to ensure there were no complications. On October 4th, after he had recovered from the anesthesia, he remained lying in bed, unable to move due to the fresh surgical wound. He was relaxed, watching television to pass the time. Later that day, his family came to visit and check on him. Everything seemed normal. There were no issues. He remained in bed all day, not moving due to the pain from the surgery. The next morning, at around 5:15 a.m., a nurse entered Tiki's room to check on him. She found him wide awake and alert, appearing healthy and calm. After a short conversation, she asked to leave the room to bring a clean bedsheet and pillowcase to replace the ones soiled by blood and antiseptics. He nodded and thanked her. She left the room and walked into the hallway, where there was a trolley cart loaded with fresh linens and supplies. She took the new items and returned to the room to replace the bedding. But when she opened the door, the patient was no longer on the bed. The room had a small private bathroom with a door, so she assumed he had gone in there. She quickly changed the bedding and cleaned up, expecting him to come out any moment. 2 minutes passed. No sign of him. She knocked on the bathroom door and asked, "Do you need anything, sir? Are you okay?" But there was no answer. No sound at all. She opened the door, which was not locked from the inside, and found the bathroom completely empty. The nurse was stunned. She began frantically searching every corner of the room and bathroom, but couldn't find a trace of him. She wondered, could he have left the room while she was outside? But the room had only one door, and she had been standing right outside next to the trolley. Even if her back was turned for a moment, she should have heard or seen him leave. Remember, this man had just come out of major abdominal surgery. Even if he could walk, he would have moved very slowly due to the pain. There's no way he could have gotten out so quickly or silently. With no explanation, the nurse rushed to her supervisor and reported the incident. The hospital staff, doctors, nurses, and security immediately began searching the entire hospital, but they searched in silence, not informing the other patients or visitors to avoid panic. The hospital administration didn't even inform the police or the patient's family. They thought they'd find him quickly and didn't want to create unnecessary noise. They searched the whole day with no sign of him. As the family was due to visit, anxiety grew. What would they say? The next day, still no sign. Eventually, the hospital called the family and casually claimed the patient had left the hospital. The family was shocked and said, "He never came home. We left him in your care, and we're sure he's still there." The family was outraged, especially upon discovering the hospital hadn't contacted the police. They rushed to the police station and brought officers back with them. A full investigation began. They checked all the surveillance cameras. There was nothing. They expanded the search to the surrounding areas. Still nothing. Days passed with no trace until October 20th, about 2 weeks after he disappeared. On that day, maintenance workers were doing repairs in the hospital. One worker climbed a ladder to fix something on the ceiling. The ceiling had an opening that led to a large attic space that extended across the entire floor. The worker, carrying a flashlight, was scanning the area when he noticed a figure sitting in a far corner. He approached and discovered the decomposing body of the missing patient, Tiki. The hospital had no idea how he got there. That space was only accessible to maintenance staff. How could a man fresh out of abdominal surgery climb into the ceiling, alone and unaided? Even if he had found the access point, there's no way he could have pulled himself up in that condition. He could barely walk to the bathroom. The autopsy revealed that he had died of natural causes. No surgical complications, no foul play. But the family insisted that something wasn't right. They believed the hospital was hiding something and had hidden the body in the ceiling. But what force in this world could lift a man's body into the ceiling in seconds? The nurse had been gone for mere moments. Sadly, there was no evidence, and the case was closed as unknown cause. The hospital issued a statement expressing shock and said they had fully cooperated with the investigation and provided proper care. Time passed and people forgot. They called it a one-time tragedy. But in 2019, an even stranger and eerier case occurred. On May 10th, 2019, a year and a half after Tiki's case, a 53-year-old man named Sandile Sibia was admitted to Mahatma Gandhi Hospital in Durban, another rich and beautiful South African city. Sandile, a construction worker, had fallen from scaffolding and fractured his femur, the large bone between the hip and knee. He was rushed to the hospital. On May 12th, his cousin came to visit. Sandile was normal, talking and cheerful. He told his cousin that he was going to be transferred to another hospital for more advanced scans and to meet a specialist in trauma. That evening, a medical team came to move Sandile from his bed to the transport vehicle. But when they entered the room, he was gone. Unlike the previous hospital, this time, Mahatma Gandhi Hospital acted quickly. They immediately called the police and reported the disappearance. On May 18th, about a week later, staff noticed a terrible smell spreading throughout the hospital. Maintenance workers followed the stench until it led them to a record storage room. On the wall, they saw black fluid dripping from the ceiling. They investigated and found Sandile's body hidden in the ceiling tiles. To this day, the results of his autopsy have not been disclosed, and his family refused to speak to the media. What we know is that 2 men in South Africa, within 2 years, vanished mysteriously from hospitals, only to be found dead in the ceilings. 3 theories emerged. The men climbed into the ceilings themselves and died of starvation, an absurd idea given their conditions. Someone killed them and hid the bodies, but no evidence supports this. A bizarre theory of instant teleportation, the idea that a person can vanish from one place and instantly appear somewhere else, a concept that has been referenced in other mysterious stories throughout history. Which theory do you believe? Let us know in the comments below the video. And that brings us to the end of today's story. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and share the video on all your social media accounts. Until the next story, stay safe and goodbye.